Well, hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Island Church Weekly Podcast, joined as ever by Pastor Will McGraney. Pastor Will, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing well. It's a good morning when you can sit around and have a bowl of ice cream.
Yeah, it is. It is 9:28 a.m. So tell us a little bit more about the ice cream.
Sprinkles, some chocolate. Only thing I miss is strawberry because you need to get your fruit on your ice cream.
Ooh,
A
I'm
little
not.
more
I'm
and a
not
little
gonna
more
lie.
serious. We got momentum this week, which is a big thing for us because we're really going to be talking about some of the details of our new building that's in the process of being coming together, and we're going to do that at 6, but at 5:15, ice cream. Lots of different flavors of ice cream, and like the person who said, "What's your favorite type of pie?" I said, "Or any type. What's your favorite type of fruit?" I would say anything that ends in pie, like apple pie, peach pie. No, same thing in ice cream. Any type of fruit ice cream, that'd be good. Anyway, that's this coming Sunday. A promo for that, 5:15 here at Fellowship Hall, 6 o'clock for our time
Awesome.
together to really talk about our future. So it's really going to be great. Be fun.
Very cool. Well, let's just go ahead and dive into what's coming up in the church, and we'll talk about last Sunday, maybe at the end. Mix up on some folks. So what's coming up folks need to know about?
Well, we got the momentum, and then August is going to be a big kickoff of quite a number of things. We'll be starting back with Grief Share. You've know someone that has lost someone, typically to death, but it could also maybe even be by in long marriage with a divorce or something of this nature. Then see Terry Nesbitt. Obviously, you can see Sandy R.I. or you can see Stacy. We'll help you get connected to Terry on that. And then our life groups be getting started back, and so that's a great thing because really, as we talk about, following Christ is not an individual sport. This is a team effort. We all contribute. We pitch in and we help one another. And then obviously the women's group will be getting started back in August as well. So August, big kickoff, and we're actually getting closer. We're all the way towards the end of July. It's kind of amazing, whether you want it or not. As my mom used to say, she still likes to say, the days are long, but the years are short. Time just moves past, right? And so we want to make the most of time. So anyway, we're going to really look forward. We've got these things that are coming up with the women, the grief, there's life groups, and then our building, continues to move forward. And when that gets moving in where people can see it, it will just fly.
Pick up.
Yeah, it looks like nothing's happening now, but just a lot of planning. I mean, you can't just go out there with 2x4s and put something up and call it a day. So
Yeah,
it's a little more
just
complicated.
agree, right? Like the first few years, it's just growing roots under the ground. You don't see anything. That's what allows it to shoot up fast. So that's how it's going to work.
That's right. So I think those are the things that are coming up. And we had a great week last week.
Yeah. Tell us more about Sunday at Island Church.
Well, we did. We're still in the series with the foundations of Christian living or Christian practices, the church practices. And so we dealt with the last part of worship. And then I picked up this whole idea of priesthood of believers. Some of you, that'll be common understanding. Some of you like, what in the world is that? And so I talked about how we are a royal priesthood. And so if you missed that particular message, I encourage you to go back because it really explains kind of the relationship, a little bit of the responsibility of us as individual followers of Jesus, that we're all priests. We don't have the same role in the church. That's a different, I'm, the pastor of the church, and there's other people in different roles. But in terms of before Jesus, we all can get to him. And so I really encourage you. It's really a foundational principle in the Christian life. And so I would encourage you to take a look at that. So we had that. We had some Fort DeSoto people join us. It's always good to know. Thank you to each person that puts out the signs and picks those up. And what I would encourage you, if you're looking for something to do in our church, we put those out on Fridays and we pick them up on Sundays. And if you can help us with that, that really would be helpful because the guests say, I saw the signs and so I come. So that's how they get here. So we had some guests from down there. We had some guests from Tierra Verde and the surrounding areas. Often we say Tierra Verde, but really we know we've got multiple islands down here. And so we're very grateful to have those people back and some new guests. And then probably the most exciting thing of the day, Matt, was we had a chance to baptize 3 people. And Adeline Brand, Josh and Carly Brand's daughter, and one of my little favorite little buddies, Adeline, and she's quite a gifted little girl. She's learned to play the piano. Maybe one day and she'll be playing in services someplace.
Yeah.
And so I admire those gifts since I don't have any of those. You have some musical talent. So.
A little bit. Not just
well, you made it past chopsticks. So that's further than I made it. So anyway, so we baptized Adeline. and certainly and just love and appreciate Carson and Ryland, her siblings. And then we had Brantley, a new family that's kind of been with us for maybe a couple of months. Davis and his wife Delina, and their son Mateo is 7, and so they were with us on Sunday. But we had the opportunity to baptize Brantley and Delina. Their testimony is that they had trusted Christ as children, had not been baptized by immersion, and really came to a conviction that that was something they wanted to do, needed to do, and so they just wanted to act in obedience. And we celebrated with them. It was just a great time. After service, we went down to Fort DeSoto and did that. So it was a good day.
Very good day. Yeah, anytime you have baptisms and you're talking about, the things we're talking about, these foundation series, it's just an incredible day to be believers and join together and celebrate what God's doing in the church. Well, Pastor Will, what is a way that folks can be praying for the church this week?
Well, we're trying to make progress again on our building. We're going to need to seek the Lord, and I wish I could give you exact amount, and I will get closer in the coming days. All that time you do the design and the appliances and the type of flooring, you get closer and closer on your figure. But I was just laying in bed last night, Matt, thinking about this, and it really is a spiritual matter for us. Our people have individually given, and we are so grateful for that. If you've not, we'd love to have a conversation with you about that. If you say, I can't give now, but I can give later, or I could do it as a part of my estate. We've had someone that stepped forward and gave as a part of their estate in the future. And that's another way that people can give. But we're really grateful for that. But really now it's a time to transition, not just transition, but in our thinking and our prayers is that God, would you provide? And we want him to get honor and him to get the glory, because it's all about him and his kingdom. And so we want to trust him, and we want to declare this verbally, and we want to cry out to him, and we want to tell him of our need, and he knows of our need, but our dependence, our trust in him. And so it's really a time for us to do that. So they can be praying about that. They would just on behalf of the church, on behalf of the islands, on behalf of the people, that God would just meet the needs at the right time through the right people. And so we're going to be having conversations, and certainly some of our people can give, and I'm sure that some of that will happen. Some people have made pledges, or actually, not pledges, commitments. Pledges is a little legal term, but made commitments. And so we encourage you, we need to get the cash together so that we're in the process. We'll be talking to some people about potentially bridging our commitments and the cost. And the way that works is people need to be giving in terms of they'll look at our offerings, annual offerings, and they'll also look at the amount of the commitments and then the money that we have actually on hand. And so all that kind of works together. So I'd encourage people towards that. That's how they can be praying. But one of the things I want to share, Matt, is just talk ever so briefly about our esprit de corps. Churches have values. They have a mission. They have values that they operate by. We talk a little bit about that. But I want to just briefly talk about just 4 aspects of our esprit de corps, which is really, this is kind of what brings enthusiasm and devotion and cause a joint effort. Is kind of the members of the group kind of have this spirit about ourselves. And so these are kind of spirits or an attitude. They're not like spiritual, but there's a spirit in the church. And so one of those is cohesion. And what we want to say about that is we're loyal and we trust each other. And we trust each other until we're absolutely proven that we can't. Because, it's possible to get sideways with people. In particular, we're in a spiritual battle to get to take things out of context or misinterpret. And so we're loyal and we trust each other until we're absolutely proven we can't. And then we're proactive. We have a can-do attitude. This needs to be part of who we are. We want to think about what we can do, not what we can't do or what we're limited to do. We want to think about how do we move forward. And each person, God's given something to do. If you're a royal priest, you have a role, right? Which we talked about this past week. And then sharp. We want to have a spirit of sharpness, cohesion, being proactive, and then being sharp. And that is, we do sharp things in a sharp way. And I think I mentioned to you, I don't want to puff your head up too much, but I think I mentioned to you someone recently that I talked with, and they were really in a home visit talking about how our overall look and that's one of their expertise. Their overall look and their brand, our brand, and how we present ourselves. There's a cohesion about that. And so what they really were saying is it's sharp. It makes good. We don't want to be extravagant, but sharp. And then inclusive. Join in with us. This isn't a spectator thing. Cohesion, being proactive, be sharp, and then be inclusive. Inclusive in terms of joining in and joining in the effort. And so that's kind of the esprit de corps. That's the spirit that we want to have alive in our church.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Pastor Will, thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing how folks can be praying, but also how they can be involved in kind of like joining their heart with where the church is and the core values of who we are and what we're trying to do. So such a great reminder. Thank you all for watching this week's Island Church podcast, and we'll see you back here next week.